3, Georgia Bulldogs are in Mel Kiper's most recent NFL mock draft. ESPN draft expert, Mel Kiper, right? Can you be a draft expert? I don't know, but he's got a job doing it. Like I said, you can give me that job if you want. He's got 3 guys going in round 1 that played for Georgia this past year. And he's got Brock Bowers going number 5. I got it on my phone. ESPN Plus, it won't load on my laptop. So I got to look at this kind of stuff on my phone. This is what he said about Brock Bowers. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post, by the way, here, talking about the NFL draft, and I'm going to read a little bit off my phone for you guys. His analysis, he's got Brock Bowers going to the Chargers at number 5 in his most recent mock. Look, these things are going to change. I do think Brock Bowers has the opportunity to be a pick like this. The consensus right now is that the first 7 picks are going to be offense. Every mock I'm seeing, a lot of what people think, I'm seeing that the first 7 picks are going to be offense, that there's not going to be a defensive player taken in the top 5, top 6, top 7, right? First 3 picks are most likely going to end up being all QBs. You might get Marvin Harrison Jr. in there, but there are 3 clear weapons that are going to go in the top 10 most likely. Marvin Harrison Jr., Brock Bowers, and Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver for LSU. But about Bowers, he basically just talks about the need that he'd fill for the Chargers. What would Brock Bowers be for the Chargers? Really, really good. You're talking about having Justin Herbert throw to Brock Bowers. He would immediately be the second best weapon as far as from a... I know Austin Eckler's a good pass catcher, but this is a running back that's getting older. Keenan Allen's getting older. Mike Williams, where you at, bro? He's hurt a lot, right? So Brock Bowers is a guy that obviously would fit with the Chargers. To me, that's the earliest he'll go in this draft, is number 5, right? So I have my own thoughts about this. When I look at this, I see the Chargers at 6. I just don't think that he's going to go in the top 4, right? Because the Bears, look, if it's not Justin Fields, you got to get your guy. Commanders, you got to get a quarterback. Patriots, you got to get a quarterback. Cardinals, they're saying they're sticking with Kyler. It seems obvious that they're probably going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's available. That's when the Brock Bowers conversation starts, and it starts at 5. If you're the Chargers, you have to consider it at 6. Never mind my fingers. At the Chargers at 5, you have to consider it. The Giants at 6, you have to consider it. The Titans at 7, you have to consider it. The Falcons, you don't have to consider it. So I think that 6 through 7, you consider it a little bit when you talk about bringing in just an elite weapon. I think the Bears at 9 have to consider it. All right, so there are a few spots in that top 10 that Brock Bowers could go. Have a hard time seeing him slip past all of these teams. I have a hard time seeing him, like, if he's not taken by the Saints at 14, I think something went really wrong in terms of Brock Bowers' stock. This guy is a guy that could have, if he didn't get hurt this year and he had a normal season, he was on pace to have an opportunity to be the leading receiver, the number 1 leading receiver in Georgia history. He ends up second in receiving touchdowns in Georgia history with 26. Tack on 5 more with his rushing, and he had 31 total touchdowns as a Georgia Bulldog, and he had over 2,500 yards. It looks like over 2,700 yards total offense. He's a freak. I don't know how much I have to advertise that. You saw him play. You adored watching him play. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you just straight up adored watching Brock Bowers play football. I know that my dad did, and he's a grown man, and he would admit that he was in love with watching Brock Bowers play football. Right. So 2 other Bulldogs that Mel Kiper has in this first round mock. Real quick, newsletter, it's down below. Be a 5-star Georgia fan and sign up for our newsletter. I'm going to keep that really quick. He's got Kamari Lassiter going at number 20 of the Steelers. Kamari Lassiter is an interesting case, and so is the other guy I'm going to talk about, because Kamari Lassiter, he's getting that possible first round grade. Right. There's a handful of really good corners in this draft. Both of the Alabama corners are first round picks most likely, in Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid's stock is cooling off. That was a lot funnier. It was a lot funnier in my head, and I came up with that on the fly, but dang. You get the defensive back from Iowa. I believe he'll play corner, Cooper DeJean. All right, really fast guy. So Kamari, this is what he says about Kamari. Sure, the Steelers hit on cornerback Joey Porter Jr. with the top pick of round 2 a year ago, but this is a defense that saw 33-year-old Patrick Peterson play more than 1,000 snaps, so there's room for injection of youth at the position. Lassiter emerged as a lockdown corner for the Bulldogs in 2023, though he had just one career interception, which came all the way back in 2021. People didn't throw at Kamari Lassiter. Still, he allowed a total of 9 receptions for 91 yards as the nearest defender in coverage, and none of those passes went for scores. He could form an elite duo with Porter. Kamari Lassiter was a damn good dog. All right, that's a really good way to put it for Kamari Lassiter. I think he was a great cover corner. I think he was great in man. I think he's one of the best tackling corners I've watched in a while. And he was a guy that really put on for the university, and look, he celebrated getting up from an injury one time. This guy is a rah-rah guy. He is a leader. The story that Kirby Smart shared in the press conference after the Orange Bowl about Kamari, telling him, look, man, you're almost a first-round pick. Go. Kamari's like, no, I have to stay. I have to play with my guys. I have to finish this right. That is another look for me. I'm not building an NFL team, right? I can. All right, call me. Right? Call me, Atlanta. I could build a team better than you guys. That's for sure. But if I was, I'd want it to be filled with people like Kamari Lassiter. Right? And yeah, he's a first-round talent as well. A guy that, if he's not gone by pick 45, what do you do in NFL? You're misevaluating a player. No other way to put it. Oh, man, I just got a bad text. Bad text. We'll bounce back from that one. That is not good. That is not good. He's got Amarius Mims going at number 32 to the 49ers, right? Mims, a guy, got hurt. Didn't really play a lot in his Georgia career. Starts in this season. Wasn't really a true starter last year. Ends up starting for an injured Warren McClendon in the college football playoffs. So he started that Peach Bowl and that national championship win. Freak. A guy I went and watched in high school, Dean and myself went, and he didn't have to try. Look, I'll get up and try to imitate it a little bit. Oh man, I forgot this was lower. But yeah, this is perfect. But this was Amarius Mims in high school when Dean and I went to see him. Just back up, shove off. Back up, shove off. That's it. Because the dude is 6'7", and he's like 300-something pounds. And he can run almost 20 miles per hour. This is more of a prospectual pick than it is a production pick. And those happen in the NFL. Trayvon Walker was that to an extent. His meteoric rise to the being the first pick in the NFL draft, in hindsight, probably was wrong, but Trayvon Walker is still a freak regardless and still a good NFL player. But Amarius Mims could have a rise. Well, he's not going to rise to number 1, especially not in this type of draft. But Amarius Mims, throughout this draft process, once he's healthy and everything's going right for him, he's going to be a freak at the combine if he performs. Goofy kid, right? You want personalities like him in your locker room as well. It can't all be Kamari Lassiter's as well. That'd be a team of killers. Killer up here, right? But Amarius Mims, there just aren't a lot of people like him. There aren't a lot of human beings built like that. And you have an opportunity to put that on your NFL offensive line that has guys like the Bosa brothers and Chase Young and Aaron Donald. And that Aaron Donald's obviously on the interior, but you get my point. You got Micah Parsons. Who do you want going after a freak like Micah Parsons? Another freak. And Amarius Mims. So he's a guy that might end up being a first-round pick. What did he say about him? There's some risk with taking Mims, as he only started 8 games in college because of injuries and NFL picks in front of him on the Georgia depth chart. But his ceiling is incredibly high. At 6'7", 340 pounds, he has the traits to be a future Pro Bowler. If he could put it all together, Mims didn't allow a single sack in 372 career pass blocking snaps. And look, things were better when Mims was on the field this year than when they weren't. And that's just true as far as look. And there's a reason why he was a starter over some of these other guys. And George has been producing a lot of NFL offensive linemen. Those are the 3 players, Bowers, Lassiter, and Mims, that you look to as the most likely first-round picks. Bowers is a lock to be a first-round pick. I would say that's I would say that Mims and Lassiter have a similar chance of being a first-round pick. You should see both of them probably go in the 20s. Maybe one or both will slip into the beginning of the second round. I think that that's about as far as either of them will fall. Javon Bullard's a guy who I think could rise during this draft process. Maybe he's a little bit more of a second or a third-round pick, but definitely a potential riser. And don't sleep on how early and often receivers go. I think you could see Laban Conkey be a second-round pick. My quick thoughts on on what Mel Kiper had to say, because look, I think he's kind of right in this regard. Bowers has an opportunity to go 5, and the other two have an opportunity to go first round. That's my evaluation, at least. Thank you for watching, and the newsletter's down below. As I said, you should be signing up for that.